The other thing that I wanted to bring up today, for those of you that are existing customers of any of our products, whether it be our software, rugged field data computers, or global positioning systems, for 30 years we were known as Electronic Data Solutions. In July of 2016, our company was acquired by Frontier Precision, so we're really excited about the acquisition. But I do just want to explain the branding and some of the new logos and things like this that might be new to some of you, just so you realize where this software came from. DataPlus was created in the late 80s to solve the issue of going to the field with what was then some new rugged field computers and giving somebody a platform where they could actually create their own field forms without having to rely on somebody creating a custom program. So that's the genesis of the software, because if you're going to the field using anything other than a pencil and paper, where many people have transitioned from, you essentially have two options. You can use a field form builder, or you can create your own custom programs either internally or by contracting to a software programmer to design these for you. The disadvantage of having custom programs built for you is anytime you want to make a change, tweak a form, or maybe create a completely new data collection form, you have to go back to that programmer, describe your programming, describe your field data collection needs, and then have them create that as close as they can. With DataPlus, we essentially put the power of the form creation into your own hands. So you can modify this as you go along, make changes to any part of the form. And if you're creating multiple data forms, you can have just as many as you want, either on your computer or residing on your field data collector. So that's the real power and the strength of DataPlus. And now we'll start getting into the meat of our webinar today. Just as soon as I can advance this screen. So the direction that we'll be going is giving you a brief overview of DataPlus Professional, which was the prior generation of our field data collection software. In late 2015, the fall of 2015, we came out with DataPlus Mobile as a new program. So it's not really a new version of DataPlus, it's an entirely new rewrite of the software. So we still are supporting and working with people that are using DataPlus Professional, but for brand new customers, we're really encouraging them to go the route of DataPlus Mobile. DataPlus Mobile has 100% compatibility with Windows 7, Windows 8.1, and Windows 10 computer products. The other advantage that it has for your field data collection is previously with DataPlus Professional, for your field data collector, it would only run on mobile devices that were running Microsoft Windows mobile operating systems. With our DataPlus mobile software, it will still run in the Microsoft Windows mobile operating system environment, but it will also run on laptops, computers that have true Windows 7, 8, and 10 operating systems on them. So the other thing that we're going to talk about today are new features, so new things that can be found in DataPlus Mobile that were not in DataPlus Professional. We'll go through some of these features, talking about efficiencies and tools that can be found using a forestry case study. We have a timber cruising form that we created, so we'll start out by showing a paper copy of it and then what it looks like when it's running or being developed on your computer and then running on the mobile handheld in the field. And then we'll talk about services and support, how you can test DataPlus, what tools there are to help you generate your own applications, or if you want to contract all or part of that to us, we can help you with that as well. So if we start off looking at a traditional paper data sheet that somebody may be using for their timber cruising, and I realize everybody has their own variations of these. This is just one that we use, and this is actually one that we have in our tutorial to give you step-by-step directions on how to create this. So generally what people want is how quickly and easily they can go from this to this, to running it on the handheld, and then of course to having that data come off as accurately and as seamlessly as possible to your computer in any number of file formats. And these formats can be a Microsoft Excel file, an ASCII file, a DBF file, an MDB file, and we could even give you that to you in a shape file. So if you have a GIS person within your organization and they want to get your data so they can plot it or do other things within a GIS, you can certainly accommodate them, as well as you can get your data off in an Excel or a DBF file to work on it and save in your own database. So that's what we've accomplished with DataPlus, and we'll just see if we can illustrate some points of that right now. Some of the components that make up our DataPlus software is, firstly, and probably most powerful tool that we have, is the DataPlus application generator. So this runs on your laptop or desktop PC. And generally within an organization, there's only one of these purchased. So you have one person that creates applications for everybody else and then disseminates those throughout the organization. And then they can buy as many handheld licenses as they have handhelds to put those on, and you can install those applications to as many of those licensed handheld packages that you can. We also have DPC Edit. So while we like to think we have a very powerful and robust application generator, we're also realistic and understand that everybody has their own custom things that they want to do. Perhaps there's some calculations or equations that they want to run in the field, sum things up. So if you can't build it in the application generator, we provide you with this DPC Edit routine where you can actually go into the code level, write your own routines, and then within your application, you can designate when you want those custom routines to run. Now, to communicate back and forth between your mobile device and your computer, we have a host communication software, and we'll describe that a little bit later in the presentation. We also have a data file editor. So I already described the number of file formats that we can provide to you. They're listed again here. So as you bring the data back into the office and transfer it to your computer, it's in kind of a raw state, and then use the data file editor, and it'll automatically convert your files to whatever shape and size that you want. Now, for running this in the field, again, you buy a mobile handheld license, either for Microsoft Windows Mobile and or Windows 7, 8, and 10. And then, of course, technical support also comes along with DataPlus. So if we start looking at how we've broken this down, some of the features of DataPlus, we can have multiple levels and branches. With the new DataPlus Mobile, we allow you 5 different levels. So these are visualized in this flow chart right here. You can see level 1, 2, and then there's actually 3 siblings on level 3, 2 siblings on level 4, and then 2 on level 5. So we can have up to 5 levels. We can have 26 child branches in each level. The maximum that we are seeing in our forestry example today will be 3 branches, but you can have up to 26. And then each file can have up to 250 columns of data in it, with a maximum of 2,500 total bytes per line. So if we go back to looking at our data sheet here, you'll see how we've broken this down. We have the first part is information about the site and the crew. So you have date, the forest, the staff, which we're saying cruiser, time, the stand, region, and acres they're working in. And then on this field form, you have plot data, tree damage, and then there's a secondary form for wildlife data. We're going to actually take the plot data, tree damage, and make those basically different siblings, and then have a level 3, which is the wildlife data. So remember this sheet right here, and this is how we're making it in our software program, where we have the stand data, plot data, tree wildlife comments, and tree damage data underneath the tree data. So we've taken this, and now we're looking at a screen capture from our DataPlus application generator. So in the upper left-hand corner, you can see level 1 is the stand, Level 2 is plot information. Level 3, we have tree, and then linked directly underneath it in a level 4 is if there's any damage for that tree. And then on the level 3, we actually have 3 siblings: tree, wildlife, and comments. So in this example, stand is highlighted so you can see the different columns that were created at the stand level: date, time, region, forest, stand, cruiser, and then acres. Now, if I were running this software and I were to click on any of these other levels, I would see the associated columns of data that I'd created for those. And those are created by going underneath the data format tab and creating those columns. So that's where they came from. So essentially you're given a blank slate and you just define what columns, what prompts you want to have for those columns, whether they're alpha or numeric data, and then how many characters you want to hold, and with numeric data, how many decimal places you also want to have in there. Now what we want to talk about are some features within DataPlus that you can use to customize your applications so you can speed data entry in the field and ensure that you're collecting the most accurate data possible. So some of these things are, and in this particular one we're focusing on the different error checking types that we have. So we have minimum maximum range checks, list file. So basically this is a pick list or a drop down file of available options, for example tree species. Error checks related to data in other columns. So based on the data that goes in one column, and we're actually using that in this application, for example, if you put the forest region in there, and this is the USDA Forest Service region, for example, if somebody types region 1, then when they get to the forest level, which is the next column, the only forests that will be available to them in that drop-down list are the ones that are associated with region 1. So that's what we call an error check, a relate to error check. You can also do user error check programs and missing data checks. So if you designate a field that's a required field data entry, it won't let you advance past that unless something's entered in there. So when we're looking at the application generator here, somebody would just simply check on the error checks tab, and this would come up. So for your highlighted field, in this case forest, with the error check type that's within the circle right here, they would check the drop-down box and click on what type of error check that they would want to generate. And then we have a small example of that tucked over here, kind of right in the middle of the screen, where it says edit relate list for column forest. So you can see the different forests that are available for this based on the region, the forest region under the level stand. Now I want to do one thing while we're at this point, and I want to launch a poll for you all. So let me go to that, and I'm going to select a poll from this. And basically what we're asking with this first one is the question is, my forestry data collection needs include? And your options are, so I'm going to launch this right now. Your options are forest inventory, timber cruising, log scaling, GIS, and other. And I put the other up there thinking, yeah, there's some things that we haven't thought of. So we'll leave that open for just a second and let you folks make some, we just want to kind of find out what's going on with our audience today. It looks like we have about half of our registered attendees have joined us so far. So if you haven't voted, take a few seconds and do that so we can gather some data. Looks like the majority of you, from what I'm seeing right now, are forest inventory and log scaling. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to share the results so everybody can see how all of your friends and family and coworkers have voted, and then we'll hide that and get back on with our presentation. Okay, thank you for that, by the way. We have just 2 more of those throughout this presentation, but very valuable for us going forward to know what we should be looking at with our clientele. Now, some other tools that we have in DataPlus to increase productivity in the field and minimize error. An example that we're using right here is called a translated error check, and this is just a way to speed up data collection in the field. Is that if I'm highlighting my species column underneath this tree level and I click on error check, in this case we're doing a list file, and then it will prompt you when you click on the button to create error check file if you want to have what we call a translated file. So in other words, instead of typing in alpine fir or bull pine or cedar out in the field, somebody would just simply press the number 1 key on their keypad, and it would load AF for alpine fir within that species field. So they have essentially 3 ways of getting data in there. They can type in 1, they can press F2, which gives you this drop-down list, and then tap on any of these species with their touch screen, or they can type in the 2-letter species abbreviation code. So this is what we call a translated error check. Now, other features that we have to accelerate productivity in the field and make this field data collection as fast as possible for you is we have this automated data entry function. So again, you can take any column that you want to modify the data entry for, click on it. In this case, this is a pretty boring example. So for the total height column that I created, if I click on the data entry tab, I can have this drop down and there will be options for copying data forward. For example, let's say we're in a forest of lodgepole pine, and that's like 99% of what we're going to be cruising. There's no sense me entering that over and over again. I'll just set that field to copy forward. So when it goes down to line 2, it's copying that from above, and if for some reason I've changed them at a new species now, I can just press the left arrow button, go back and change the species, and it'll start auto copying the new species that I have in there forward. So copy forward is a pretty quick way to increase data speed. You can increment value from the above cell. So if you're keeping track of the numbers of things, if recording the date and time is important for your data collection functions, when you highlight the date and time field that you created, you would just go to this drop-down box and there would be an option for auto-loading date and time. You can preload constant data, and if you're doing any surveys and you want to have a random number generator, we have one of those in there as well. So that's the automated data entry function. Something else that we have to accelerate productivity is what we call using a constant column display. So let's say that you're down a number of levels within your data collection here, and you want to keep track of where you're at. So we would click on this constant column display underneath the screen define, and I would choose specific columns of data that I want to keep track of that'll be at the top of my screen at all times. So if we look at the example of this Allegro 2, you can see even though that we're collecting data on tree damage, that it's showing me what plot number I'm on, what tree number I'm on, what the tree species is, and information about that tree. So if I'm sitting there collecting all of this damage data, that I know exactly what tree that's associated with from the column above. So this is called constant column data, and it can be very helpful for you. Other features within it to accelerate productivity are we have a customization of screens. A lot of people are going to the field with devices that are touchscreen only. In other words, there is no keypad whatsoever on those. So you can customize things for those. Other people have full keypads and displays. Some of them are in a portrait orientation, some landscape. So basically you can set that up. You can have single or double prompts. The show columns on subsequent screens. You can have view only or hide columns. So let's say you have some technicians out there collecting data for you and you want to keep track of how long it's taking them to do that. You could set up a time column at the start of the project and at the end, and you could hide that so they're not even aware that that's happening. It would just automatically load the time off the internal time clock, record it, and then as they're moving along, and then you have that information when you download the data back at the office. You can also have custom help messages for each column. Very handy if you have new users each year, maybe during your production season, you have a lot of temporary help coming, so you can customize those. So anytime they're looking at the screen, there's a custom column help message at the bottom. And we do have some examples of those in our Forestry example. And then you can easily format the data for different handhelds. Here's an example of some different screen types. So here we have 3 views of exactly the same field computer, but you can see if you choose to have a line display, what the data looks like. If you have a line display, it just essentially centers that whole sheet, or what we call a virtual display. The virtual display, the best way to think about it is if somebody had an Excel spreadsheet with a whole bunch of columns across it, and then maybe you had a 4 or 5 inch window that would move around within that virtual spreadsheet. So these are the different ways you can define how your applications look on your field computer. And then, as we stated earlier, it doesn't matter whether your field computer has a portrait display, like this Archer 2 right here, or it has a landscape display, like the Allegro 2 does. So you can see how it formats itself easily for whatever your screen type may be. Now, some other tools that we had talked about, for example, we had mentioned the custom column help messages. These are how these are set up in the application generator. So you would go to using the hierarchy over here on the left. If somebody was wanting to set this up in the damage field, they would highlight on that. The columns that they have set up for that would appear in there. They would click on a certain one, in this case, column number 5, DQI, and then they would go to column display, go into column help messages, and essentially type what they wanted that column help message to be. So you can have this set up that no matter what column they're on, they can have a custom column help message that appears. So this is what it would look like on the field computer over there on the far right. And again, some more features to accelerate productivity in the field. We have 4 levels of touchscreen support, so we already touched on that a little bit. Again, this is something that's set up on the individual field computer based on how much of a keyboard you have. We showed an example of the Archer 2 there, which has a very limited keyboard. There's just essentially number keys on it. The Allegro 2 has a full-blown alpha and numeric keyboard. There are some devices, like some of these new tablets, that don't have any keyboard at all. So you can define what your touchscreen requirements are based on what device you're using. Some other things we do to speed data along is using our data flow control tab, so we can have jump tables that allow you to move to a specific column based on data from other columns. For example, if somebody's doing a forest inventory or some research work, and they're going along, maybe there's a bunch of lodgepole pine there, and all of a sudden they come up on a Doug fir. Well, for the study they're doing, whenever they encounter a Doug fir, maybe they need to record a bunch more data about it. So if they put the species abbreviation for one species in there, it might jump them to one column. If they put another species in there, it might take them to another column. We can also do column searches, and in the field before you leave for the day, you can have it do a missing data check down through any of your data and tell you if you're missing anything before you jump in the truck and drive the 2 hours back to your office. Okay, folks, I want to do another poll right here. So for this one, the question is, I currently collect data in the field using this software. So those are the choices I have on there. Hopefully we have some of our older DataPlus users on there, as that's one of our options. I realize there are some people using database and Excel software out in the field, and then there's a lot of homegrown options as well. And in retrospect, I probably should have put an other up there, but we'll think that the third-party form builder will be that option. Looks like about half of you have voted so far. We'll keep it open a few more seconds and collect some information from you. Okay, just to keep things moving along, I think I will close that right now. And we'll share the results with you. Thank you for participating in that, by the way. It looks like about 30% are running DataPlus, 50% some proprietary software, and 40% third-party form builder. Okay, that, and good. We're back to our presentation again. Okay, something that we really improved in DataPlus Mobile over DataPlus Professional is you could always record or bring data in from your global positioning system, but we've really improved the ease of doing this and the power of doing it in DataPlus Mobile. So essentially you just build in a latitude, longitude, and elevation field to whatever level in your application generator you want. In this case, they have it in level 2 at the plot level, which makes sense. So you can see that latitude, longitude, and elevation is there. And then you have the option of saying, okay, I want to collect that spatial data either as a point, a line, or a polygon within the program. Now, if you check on points and enable that, you can actually log the data right into the branch record. So your latitude, longitude, and elevation will appear right in the data file with all the rest of your data, or not. So you have a button for log to a separate file. And then to get better accuracy, you can even average a number of points and allow for a user override. The override function is there because a lot of times when you're under Canopy, you might be really gung-ho in the office and say, yeah, I want to average 30 points, but you find out that you're not getting that many just because of overhead canopy issues. So you can check an override on there. And then you can even make the spatial data required. So when it gets to that point, hey, you've got to get something in there. Now, for those of you that are doing road or stream work, you can also collect data on lines. If you're doing property boundaries, you can collect data as a polygon. But in these cases, the data is always logged to a separate file with a file linking thing, so you'll know where that data belongs with what application folder containing all the rest of your data. So really improved the GPS portion of this. Another thing that we added was this new auto store feature. And kind of FYI, a lot of these new features really came from customer requests from people that had been using our DataPlus Professional for a long time and heard that we were coming out with something new, or we told them, asked them what they wanted. With this auto store feature, you automatically store data in a subsequent column based on data in another. So this is automatic. So in this example right here, down in the wildlife section of this, if somebody, for example, encountered a bald eagle, it would automatically assume, but you could go back and change this, that it was residing in a conifer forest. I forget what the designation for GGO was, but that was lodgepole pine would automatically be associated with that. So again, it was just a tool to speed up data entry if you wanted to know, with this example, what the wildlife was that you observed. Well, what tree species were they residing in or around when you observed them without having to hand enter that data. This is really one of my favorite new features right here. We call it a branch control feature. We used to do somewhat of this in a jump table with DataPlus Professional, but with the branch control feature, I think it's a lot easier and more powerful. So what the branch control feature allows you to do is to select specific columns of data. And for example, in this case, the tree species column is Douglas fir. So if somebody enters Douglas fir for species, then for tree total length, tree merchandise, it just skips over those and skips DBH. However, if they enter anything else, it requires them to enter the tree total length and the DBH. So you have this option wherever you're working in there to have required fields or skipped fields based on data that you're entering for a specific column. Other tools that we put in there are the ability to automatically pull in device from external receivers. So you can have an internal GPS right within your field computer, or you can have an external one that you're communicating with either via Bluetooth, USB, or serial. We can automatically connect to laser rangefinders, electronic scales, barcode scanners, digital calipers, even multi-parameter water quality sensors as well. So it makes it for an easy and seamless way to get data from an external instrument right into your DataPlus application. Okay, that's what we wanted to cover as far as our application generator. I do want to talk about DataPlus Host. So DataPlus Host is an integrated communication software for Microsoft Windows and Windows mobile devices. It's an overlay to ActiveSync on Windows XP computers or to Windows Mobile Device Center on Windows 7, 8, and 10 devices. So when you do a USB connection to your computer, that'll first be detected by Microsoft Windows Mobile, and when that happens, DataPlus will automatically launch, or you can manually launch it to have full communication back and forth to either load applications on your mobile device or download data from them. And this can run in the background or unattended. This is a screen capture of what DataPlus Mobile Host looks like. So you'll see some icons up here for sending applications to your field computer, send data if you want to preload information on there, receive data from the mobile device to your computer, and then there's an icon for installing. So if you are a new user or you're purchasing some more handheld devices and want to load a mobile copy onto your device, there's the install button. Now what these tabs are on top up here, and these are brand new for DataPlus Mobile Host, is that if somebody now has the ability to actually load the application onto a USB flash drive. So if you have a Windows 10 tablet that you're taking to the field and want to put your application on it, you could put it to a flash drive and then plug the flash drive into your USB port on your device and copy that application into your DataPlus handheld shell. So that's DataPlus Mobile Host. Early in the presentation, we talked about customizing your programs and giving you the power to go down to the code level for things like calculations, maybe some custom error check routines and things like this. So in those cases, if you have staff want to contract with a third party or with us, you can write custom C-like user programs that run along with the application that you built. Here's the DataPlus mobile packages and pricing that we have. I just want to briefly go down those. So you'll see that there's two packages right here. The difference between those are designated by the last three letters in the name. The one ending in MOB includes a license for a Microsoft Windows mobile device. The one in Win includes a data collection for a full Windows device. And then you can see the price for just adding different handheld devices to your network. And then we also have what we call field kits, where you might have some remote offices and you want to give them the ability to install DataPlus onto applications, onto handhelds, download and convert data, and then perhaps they would send you the converted data, but they wouldn't really need an application generator. So a field license essentially includes everything but the application generator. And then DataPlus mobile support. We provide free technical support for the first 90 days after the product purchase. And then we have different levels of product support that you can purchase. depending on whether you're an application developer, an end user, or if you just want to subscribe to a per incident support. So we can help you develop your DataPlus application just by sending us copies of your paper data sheet, partially filled out, or a written description of what you want to accomplish. And then we would just provide you with an estimate based on the number of hours or the number of data sheets if you provide those on paper. The other thing that we're doing on our website, I believe we only have 3 up there right now, is we're starting to create a DataPlus app library. So new users don't have to start from scratch. They can just go out to our website, download one that description appears that might be similar to what they're developing, and then just modify it to suit their own needs. Okay, I want to launch our last poll right now. And again, I appreciate your help with these. This one is just kind of asking about hardware use and needs. So the question is, I use the following hardware for field data collection, so we'll launch that. And the options I put on there are, rugged handheld tablet with Microsoft Windows Mobile operating system, rugged tablet or laptop with Microsoft Windows, and then just a consumer grade laptop or tablet. So this could be anything like a Apple iPad, well, excuse me, not an Apple iPad because we couldn't do it, a Microsoft Surface, that's what I meant to say. And then there's some people that even have Windows Mobile running on their phones, and they could use those. And then, of course, people that are using traditional paper and pencil methods. Maybe some of you are using a lot of combination of those. If so, go ahead and check those. Okay. About 3/4 of you have voted so far. I think I'd better, in the essence of time, move this along. Thanks again for contributing to that. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to share the results with our customers. Looks like most of you are using rugged field computers. Excellent. Still a large portion out there too with pencil and paper. Hopefully what we're doing today, we can move you into DataPlus. Okay, we will hide that and move through our last few slides. Thanks again for contributing that information. We've sold well over 1,300 licenses sold. We've got kind of a shot of a small sample of our customers up right there. I would say, looking at markets, by far and wide, most of our DataPlus customers are involved in the forest industry. Fisheries is probably the second one, and then wildlife and range, bringing up the remainder of those. And then there's some different ones too. We actually have some groups that are using DataPlus at landfills. So as people come in bringing their garbage in a trailer and that, they set up applications to basically find out what city they're from, what they're bringing in, and other data that's useful for the particular city. Some other resources that we have is we maintain a blog. Currently this is on our old Electronic Data Solutions website. It's called To the Field and Back, but we have a lot of good blog articles out there on using DataPlus. So some general introductions to it, and then some specifically talking about implementing GPS data within your application. So if you haven't visited that already, go out there. There might be some interesting articles for you from the field data collection industry, spanning GIS topics, vector control, just general field data collection, and even some water resource topics as well. And then I also encourage you, existing users, or if you want to try out DataPlus, when you download DataPlus onto your computer, whether you've purchased a copy or just trialing it, it creates a documents folder for you underneath the DataPlus folder. And underneath the documents folder, I believe there's like 7 electronic operation and maintenance manuals in there. There's a tutorial. And this thing goes through step by step with a lot of good screen captures and detail on how to create this timber cruising application that we watched today. So really encourage you to look at that. And of course, you can trial all of our software for free. Again, it's under our old website, electdata.com. So you can go out there, download a version of it. You can even download our sample applications from out there as well. With a trial copy, it allows you 10 different iterations of testing it, and each time you're testing it, you can collect a maximum of 10 lines of data. So essentially, it looks exactly like the real thing, except you're limited to the number of uses of it and how many lines of data that you can collect. And then just as we wrap things up here, I just want to introduce some other services and products from Frontier Precision. Professional GIS services, water and weather monitoring equipment. We have environmental database software, vector control hardware and software, UAS products and services, custom software development, as well as rental equipment. And then we have repair services and certified technical support and training. So thank you very much for attending, folks. I'm going to go ahead and open this up for questions. We still keep everything muted, but if you want, go to your questions pane there, and I'll scroll down through these and read out the question out loud and then answer that question. And hopefully I can answer all the questions here.